the World OTT Show. Well, we hope you had a great networking break right there. You were able to visit the booths and network with each other. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we're going to be having our operations panel discussion, which is on optimized yet effective OTT challenges and successful strategies for OTT as the topic. We're looking at divulging into data is the key, cloud management for OTT platforms, content delivery network for OTT platforms, cybersecurity, all about ROI, and how 5G will impact the OTT growth in the fast changing world. Well, it could have a lot more components coming in thanks to all our wonderful panelists who are joining us. First up, we have Rajiv Sharma, Head of Technology, Redchillies, VFX, Redchillies joining us. Well, Rajiv is working over 14 years in feature films, TV shows, and the gaming industry. He started his career as a 3D visual effects artist and moved forward with roles like the visual effects lead, visual effects technical director, visual effects supervisor, technology supervisor. Thank you so much, Rajiv, for joining us live today.
Yeah, thank you, Bhavna.
Pleasure having you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, also joining Rajiv is Rajesh Kathuria, AVP IT, Shemaroo Entertainment Limited, joining us. Well, Rajesh is an IT change agent enabling digital transformation in the media industry. He has been practicing ITIL design thinking and application using UiPath for business automation, insights for customer experience, and many more tasks for the industry. Thank you so much, Rajesh, for joining us live today.
My pleasure.
And ladies and gentlemen, joining is also Sourjya Mohanty, Chief Operating Officer, Epicon, joining us. He's somebody who's got 15 years of experience in sales and distribution in telecom and media sector. Mr. Mohanty, in his role at Epicon, is responsible for driving the growth agenda along with the focus on innovation in content and platform experience. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohanty, for joining us today.
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, also introducing our panelists, also Shashank Vaishnav, co-founder and CTO Stage, joining us. Well, Shashank, being the co-founder and CTO of Stage, a dialect-based OTT platform in India, he's previously built a Witty feed and scaled it to 120 million monthly users. Thank you so much, Shashank, for joining us live today.
Thank you, Bhavna, for the introduction.
Pleasure having you. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we do have Raghavan ML, Head Digital Business, Sun Group, joining us. Well, Raghavan has worked with some of the best marketing minds, developed communication strategies, and played a pivotal role in building some of the India's best brands for mediums, which include the ones in television networks, software companies, FMCG, and auto players, to list a few industries. Thank you so much, Raghavan, for joining us live today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all ours. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time now to introduce you to the moderator of this panel discussion. We're joined by Ashwin Rao, Country Director, Limelight Networks, joining us. Well, Ashwin Rao, a sales leader with more than 15 years of experience in helping companies find the right technology to solve their specific business challenges in areas such as digital media, cybersecurity, cloud platforms, AI, SaaS, DB, and more. Thank you so much, Ashwin, for joining us live today. Ashwin, I believe you're on mute. Apologies.
My apologies. Thanks, Bhavna. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, with such incredible panelists on the stage, I'm not going to hold you between the discussion. I'm going to leave it to Ashwin to take it forth with his panel. Over to you, Ashwin.
Thanks, Bhavna. And a very good afternoon to all the panelists and all the viewers. And thanks for making time to join in. We're going to keep this session as interactive and fluid as possible. And I hope you'll have a few key takeaways for your business by the end of this discussion. So, what I'd like to do here is, we have an esteemed panel of speakers. We're going to be touching upon 3 to 4 key main topics, mainly based on the over-the-top industry. As we know, the OTT industry has been growing significantly globally and in India and APAC. Every country is trying to scale and provide great user experience for their viewers, right? So we'll talk a little bit about some of the success strategies which some of the key businesses and the folks from key businesses are implementing in their companies. We'll obviously touch upon a little bit of risk, what they see as their version of risk. And then we'll take it from there and we'll segment into the live piece of the business. I think live streaming is becoming one of the very critical factors of running an OTT business these days. And then we'll close with some Q&A at the end of the session. So, starting off, what I'd like to talk first about is the success strategies here. Maybe we can start with Rajesh, the first steps. Rajesh, if you could give us a very high level understanding of some of your key success strategies that you're implementing for Shemaroo, I think that would be a good start.
So we are a 50-year-old company, and we decided to transition into this new media technology. What we did is we systematically upgraded and tried to change, and then reach to a level where we can offer the content, which is our core business, to the customer. Earlier, we were restricted to B2B. We are very well known as a B2B player, and now we are into B2C thanks to a product called Shemaroo. So for this, there were a lot of number of steps which are taken. And after that, completing those each steps and building blocks, we have reached a stage where we are able to offer the service to the customer.
Very interesting. And Shashank, you run a different type of business. Although it's in the OTT industry, it's still driving content, but it's a little different from what Rajesh or some of the traditional OTTs do. Bhavna mentioned that you have 120 million. That's pretty amazing in terms of key KPIs, right? So talk us through a little bit about how different your success strategies are, some of the challenges that you've overcome or you're trying to overcome.
So we started a stage 2 years back with the ideology in mind that people from small villages do not have premium and sensible content in their dialect. So we started creating content, movies and web series, stand-up comedies and everything. So content creation was easier as compared to the data problem there. These people do not have a good smartphone and even high-speed internet. So it was very challenging for us to transcode our videos in different formats. So we are transcoding our videos in like 48 different formats and serving this content on different devices in different formats on different speed of network. So initially what we did, technically, by default, we are giving all the different bandwidth and all the videos to all the users, and we are analyzing on which smartphone, which device, which internet connection, which SIM card, what kind of bitrate or the version of video is working well. And then now we have the core of it, and now we know on what smartphone, what kind of video will work. So now after doing this, average watch time of our user was 45 minutes before. After implementing this, after this whole process, right now it is 1 hour, 15 minutes. So it's a half an hour of jump just after this small change we have done.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And then, Raghavan, to you, right? You are running the digital business of Sun Group, right? And you're one of the unique companies who run both VOD and live effectively across pan-India. Walk us through what's different or in terms of the operational strategies which you're trying to implement. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about content and how you foresee that changing over time. And then give us an understanding of what challenges you're facing as well.
We're about 5 years old. I'm about 2 years old here. And like Bhavna said, I come from an advertising marketing kind of background, not a techie. So a lot of the stuff that, especially what you keep throwing, Ashwin, content delivery networks and efficiencies were new to me. But I think at the core of it, business is business. And if the question is about what successful strategies at a very fundamental level, I think we need to be clear about our audience, because OTT is a buzzword. No one, everybody and anybody wants to get into it. And it's not an easy game. It is a tough game. It doesn't have the scale, though it's growing rapidly, it doesn't have the scale that linear television has in India, and we have our own infrastructural bottlenecks as a country. So you need to find that balance is what I think is critical. You need to play to your strengths. Sun is, it's a household name. We are one of the largest broadcast networks in the country. We have a global footprint, and we are we are probably south of the India's have the strongest content library in terms of entertainment. We leverage our massive catalog of movies, which is more than 4,000. And we are probably one of the very few OTT players in India. I don't know if there are others where we have a combination of live and VOD. So we have 33 channels going live on Sun Next. Have all our VOD content also there, and we have a catalog of movies. So it was a fairly complicated task for us, and for us it was always about balancing the linear television demand and the OTT demand, and therefore consumer targeting was crucial.
Absolutely.
You can't be everything to everybody. And I think what the pandemic has taught us is regional players were growing in strength. But I think what the pandemic did was it's accelerated change maybe about 5 or 6 years. So that's a very, very big play. We made sure we didn't hurry into the whole thing. We don't believe in making disproportionate investments that will land us in the red. We're very, very clear about it. We don't believe in bleeding to make money later. That doesn't, as a business, it doesn't work for us. Thankfully, we have extremely strong content library kind of helps us a lot. And we have a unique business model. Yeah. We have both a B2C and a B2B2C. So we have exclusive tie-ups with all the telcos, with some of the largest platforms in the country. At the same time, we have a very strong B2C base that's growing significantly. And I think that's it. And from an operational point of view, I think the idea is to make tech work for you. This business, and I think, my sense is OTT is no longer a media entertainment business. It's a tech business where the benefit or the derivative or the product is entertainment. You need to understand that first. And we look at the most successful guys, be it Netflix or Amazon and others. Disney is in the process of transition now to a great extent, but Hotstar has got its base in India in a big way. So, it's more tech. And I think you need to understand that, crack that, get those efficiencies out. Otherwise, this can bleed you because content costs are phenomenally high now.
Yeah.
And ROI can be a challenge because you don't have the kind of reach linear television has. And your internet penetration is still suboptimal compared to some of the developed countries. So, so it's not easy. And more than anything, the basic thing that I think people take for granted as India is what, 26, 28, 27 countries. You have so many languages. It's not easy to penetrate. So you need to...
That's a big problem. I agree.
You need to find your niche and you need to figure out who your audience is and cater to them and play to your strengths.
Yeah, that's a great point. So let me kind of, you touched upon a couple of very interesting topics, right? You talked about the regional play, and then you talked tech being an enabler, right? It should be an effective enabler and not cause you to bleed. Well, content is king. We all know that, right? Look at the acquisition which Prime made recently to acquire MGM's Bond movies, right? So people are pouring money into it. It's a cutthroat market. But, you started with user experience, especially in an online business where user experience goes pretty close to being as important right now than ever, especially in the lockdown. Sourjya, what's your take on this? You're an upcoming OTT platform. You're making big strides in Bombay. You're in the news. What are you doing differently? Or is there a secret sauce, or just do the same thing with the basics properly? What's your take on that? in terms of user experience and scale?
Yeah. Hello all. So we are a budding OTT player right now. When we started in 2020, 2020 when we started during the pandemic, we were few lakhs of users that we are handling, and currently we have grown by 400% in last 1 year, less than a year. And the secret sauce has been on two sides of the pole. One is content, the other is tech, right? So it's a content company when we say. So when you infuse both the sides of the pole, it becomes a content. Now, content is something where obviously a lot of mechanics gets into it, intelligence gets into it. We have to map a lot of cohorts, what people want to watch, what is the clutter breaking USP that the content has. All of that, while we are sorting it out on the content side, we were extremely busy in setting up the tech part. Now, in the tech part, when I say there are multiple pivots to making a successful technology platform, right? But the basic that we did is first the human capital, right? We identified the right set of people with a very, very lean structure, but high in terms of productivity, right? So the effectiveness is something that we worked on. And we worked with some of the partners, great partners, world-class partners who also got a lot of value onto the table. Now, the idea is not to spread thin. The idea is to stay deep and then do a deep engagement with the partners and then see where are the areas where augmentation can happen. And as you said clearly, that user experience matters a lot. So we have moved from a 8 seconds playback to now a 2 seconds playback as we are talking. So that's the kind of experience we are talking about. The latency has reduced from the overall platform. That's one side of the discussion. The second side of the discussion is that what kind of engagement tactics we have, we have introduced in the platform. So we have on one side podcast where around 4,000 hours of podcast is there, where users are not having video fatigue. Too much of video fatigue also, results in abandonment of the platform. So we said that, okay, why not give the audio and video together? And when people are also bored out of that, we also introduced ebooks. So we have around 3,000 ebooks, 4,000 plus hours of podcast, and of course, around 2,000 plus content titles around movies and shorts and TV shows as well. So when we are handling all of this, the key challenge is that how do we maintain the consistency and the performance? We have set up a task team internally within the tech team who basically monitors, has a lot of triggers in place where in case of anything conks down, they rush and then they rectify it. And what we have seen that 99% of the time we have a good uptime, and it's only 1% or 2% that we face trouble, and we have been able to sort of do it over 6 months period that we have been able to handle almost 30 plus million MAU. So that's a huge number, and this has only been achieved through a good tech platform. And of course, content is, as I said, it's a completely different discussion. It has to evolve every day, but tech also has to stay ahead. And that's the USP between one OTT to the other OTT.
Yeah. Thanks, Sourjya. And Rajiv, last but not the least, right? So you're part of Redchillies at BIM. You are in the middle of content production, content distribution. One of the big challenges, we hear from the market is the traction international content is getting in India, right? You have some big kahunas like Prime, Netflix, Disney. They're all bringing in big wallets. So how are you, what do you hear from the OTT industries when they come to you and buy content? What are some of the challenges from distribution of content, which you want to talk through today, if that makes sense?
Right. So Ashwin, like OTT content is the fuel of OTT platforms. And we as a content producer, we as a visual effects content producer for OTT platforms, what we are facing some challenges is to produce a high volume of content in a very short amount of time. Because, these days the demand of content is very high. And the infrastructure and the technical limitations of the current studios, not just us, it's like everywhere, that is actually kind of a limitation because, the resolution of the output, for example, right now the demand is on 4K content, but the infrastructure which we used to have is like can produce some sort of like a SD content because the network is not capable to handle that much data internally. So to solve that internally, like our strategies are to actually move to the latest technologies like virtual productions and using the latest hardware, advanced technologies to actually deliver the right content with international standard quality, feature film standard. Like, I mean, these days, the users, the end users, they don't want a difference between the feature film content and the web series. So they want like exactly same quality to be visual in the OTT platforms. So yes, so that's what, as a content creators, we are in this situation.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks for your inputs. So we spoke about user experience. We talked about a little bit of your successful operational strategies you're inculcating. I hear this all the time that customer experience has to have an ROI tagged to it, right? It cannot be that Netflix just recently became profitable in India about a year ago or 2 years ago. I feel that they are the benchmark of UI for any OTT player. I mean, if you go into a Netflix, the user friendliness, the ease of watching videos, personalization is just a couple of notches above everyone else, right? And they put a lot of money in that as well. So, in terms of ROI, gentlemen, customer experience is key, but do you think customer experience will drive ROI for you? Especially in the lockdown where the advertisement revenue, the online ad revenue is not doing as well or becoming such a big vehicle for your revenue generation. Maybe, to start with, Rajesh, you can give your perspective of what's ROI? What's the definition of ROI for Shemaroo? Or from your perspective, personally as well. You're on mute, Rajesh.
Sorry about that. As a company, we have been very clear on the revenue and on the profit, right from day one. So that being in mind, and the subsequent effect of that is we're very concerned with the customer insights. Okay, it's very important. We are known for our content, and today also our content is largely flowing in the west side of India and Gujarat, where people are trying to consume the content there. So definitely all these things in tandem will give results.
Okay. Raghavan, what's your take? You guys made a very key strategy recently, right? That you guys removed the paywall. Was that, and you're an SVOD business. You removed the paywall, and there's been a huge success for you guys. So is that an example which I can mention about one of the key ROIs that you're driving in your strategies at Sun?
Yeah. So like I said the first time I spoke, ROI is absolutely critical. And your question was, will your consumer experience influence ROI?
Yeah.
I think absolutely. And one of the things we constantly strive for is to make sure our UI, UX, we constantly monitor our ratings on App Store and Play Store. We have a huge customer service team. We have a massive tech team in the back end working on this. And we believe that it is far more complex and you need to understand that. You said it very right. Now, Netflix plows in, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years ago, the number was somewhere around $800 or $850 million into tech.
That's
now,
right.
They are the gold standard. There's no two ways about it, given the kind of investments they make. And they are a tech company who have been in the streaming business for a long time, for a very long time. They have 25 years into giving consumers quality entertainment. Now, having said that, we need to figure out where we are in terms of our own consumer experience and vis-a-vis what we, what a Netflix charges and what the others charge. And the point is, who is your core consumer? What are the kind of devices they watch? And finally, Ashwin, I think it's very important for us to understand that just like we're used to switching on a TV and the picture comes and it plays, if you're going to, every time you switch on your OTT app and it's going to take 20 seconds, 30 seconds to load, you switch. You're not interested.
Yeah.
Startup time is crucial, and therefore all the complexity of tech comes in. Contextual encoding, device-specific streaming, the kind of bit rates that mobiles can take, larger devices take, how fast and how does it stream across the globe, how good clarity, audio, all of that. Having said that, uh, at the core of it, if the question is about will consumer experience drive, and I'm saying if the UI UX would, absolutely, there's no two ways about it. If your UI UX is bad, and I mean anything, it could be search, it could be a meta tagging, it could be, and yes, Netflix has taken it to another level in terms of you have differential, I think, thumbnails for different people for the same content. I mean, they use AI to a great extent. We need to figure out where we are, how do we want to use it, what is my consumer expecting, and am I able to deliver that? In a place where if 3G is a challenge, there's no point trying to stream 4K content because it's never going to load. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely, especially in a country like India, where network and topology and devices vary.
Value density is so high, network congestion is the name of the game.
Yeah.
No matter how good your player is and your partner is, end of the day, even you guys rely on as Limelight. And you are my CDN partner, but even you guys rely on the telcos for the last mile connectivity. So
That's right.
It is a complex and challenging game. Yeah. And
fantastic. So let me kind of make segue. We talked about ROI. Interestingly, we talked about customer experience directly connecting with ROI. Revenues are going down in the advertising business these days, at least the online ads, right? Companies are closed. One of the things I think one of the factors we're talking about, and what I hear all the time, is so many different devices. There are so many different devices.
One moment, I forgot one part of it. And you were asking about us taking some of our content beyond the paywall. That's true, and it was an extremely strategic decision where some of the television content VOD was taken outside the paywall, and the intent was very clear in terms of there is a consumer base who watch linear television, but there's a base of consumer who also want the advantage of wanting to watch their VOD content at a time and their choice. And this is a great way for us to sample, get them to experience the content, get them hooked on, and then you move them up the value chain. Now that has been phenomenal for us. And like I said, we are a mix. We have a B2B2C model, we have a B2C model. And in our basic pack, there is some amount of advertising we do. So, it has to be a combination. There is no one size fits all in OTT.
Yeah.
The industry is too nascent. The business is too premature compared to the West. And it's not a clean slice. It is complex.
Absolutely.
America, the cable or the thing business is really expensive, and OTT changed the game in terms of costs. That's not the case in India.
Absolutely. Very true.
Very carefully.
Yeah. And then, again, like I was said, right, saying that India has got so many different networks, so many different variations in performance. Expectation of consumers, a consumer sitting in a tier 3 city, 7 seconds or 6 seconds is good enough for them sometimes. They may not be happy with it, but they're content with it. But if you place the same kind of latency across the tier 1 cities, they leave and go. But one of the things which are getting more frequent in conversations these days, which was not, is security, right? That customer experience comes through speed is what we have traditionally been following. Better performance, better CX. But with the increase in the number of devices, number of networks, the number of cloud providers, technologies coming in as enablers, AI, where does security stand? It's no longer an insurance policy. It's a reality check, which OTT industries are going through slowly, but they're going through it. So, Sourjya, maybe after that, I'll come to Shashank. What is the version of security? Piracy is one aspect, but what about threats? What's your take on that?
Absolutely. I think it's a very pertinent point, since the genesis of OTT is tech, and tech has a lot of threats around, dark web and white web, which we call. So the threat is always looming around, and we have to be extremely smart enough. How do we circumvent that process? So of course, DRM is one point where it is an outright way of circumventing the threat and the threat of piracy. And the second part which is there is also creating a virtual realm for your network that you're working within, or where the customer data, whether it is a customer data storage part or whether it is a content storage part, the realm has to be so strong that it fortifies a lot of these hackers and the dark web users to enter or penetrate into your web. So I think all the OTT heads should focus on security as much as they focus on the content as well. Because if the overall tech fortification is done, then obviously whether it's a customer data or whether it is a content data, everything is stored properly. So I think investment is going on in terms of setting up different alarms, creating different realms, layer after the layer, DDoS attack, bots, and all of this basically give a superior impact on the overall security part. But having said that, whether ROI is linked to it, this I wanted to point out. Yes, ROI is extremely linked to it, because if the same content is available in pirated websites or apps, then obviously you tend to lose 30-40% of your SVOD revenue, and your advertising revenue also is wiped off. So everything is a function of the security part. And of course, one has to pay a lot of importance in terms of investing, and as well as upgrading it on a yearly basis or a monthly basis, depending on the kind of distribution they have. So right now we are operating in 45 telcos globally, apart from India, and we are extremely cautious and serious about the security bit of it, because we are dealing not only with the Indian customers, but also global customers, whether it's a GDPR compliance, whether the tech part is also within the realm. All of that is checked on an hourly basis to see if there are any threats that are coming to us.
Fantastic. Shashank, what's your take on this, right? You run a completely digital platform. You're ahead of the curve in terms of, your user experience. So walk us through a little bit on your take on cyber threats.
In terms of security, there are two aspects which we need to take care of. One is around content. People should not be able to steal our content, which can be taken care via these DRM solutions, which Sourjya has rightly said. And then the signed cookies, implementation of signed cookies and signed URL in the application, be it web or be it any application like Android, iOS, or smart TVs. And most importantly, which people do that, we will have to stop screen recording. We'll have to add some SDKs which will prevent recording of the screen. And this is the first layer of security where we can prevent the content theft. The second layer will be around the content, the data of our users, their phone number, their card details, their everything else which we store on our database. It can be protected via some kind of VPCs, VPC peering. Though all the network call which will happen, they will only happen from via our machine, our network, our own home and our own devices. Nobody should be able to log in and sign into our database from any other device apart from our internal device. So this is very important to take care. And third part is about DDoS attacks. And the major thing is, in our case, in CDN, if someone comes up and eats up our whole bandwidth, everything will goes up and our CDN bill will spike. So it's important to have alerting there. And every day we know that 5 TB is going out. So we should put an alert if it goes above 6 terabyte. Alerting is very important. And the layer of protection of DDoS is very important. So this is all we take care of.
Got it. That's very interesting. You mentioned CDN. I've been in the industry for 10 or 12 years just doing CDN business with our customers and partnering with them. But CDN has its pros and cons, right? We are an enabler. We are a pass-through. Obviously, expectations are that every CDN company will have their own security protocols in place to protect the customers who are using the platform. But the game now, and it's been for a while, is that while CDNs will have the security patches needed to protect users using our platform, the responsibility also falls on the customers to protect their own platform as well. So it's a combination, right? Now on that note, Rajiv, you're on the content side, right? You're not really responsible for management of the content once the distribution is done. But as a content owner, is there anything specific that you're doing on your side to provide some protection, or what are your expectations from the OTT industry who uses your content or who are buying content from you, as a matter of fact? So
okay, so the first thing that that I want to add here is the piracy of the content, especially screen recording, and after that send it to any unauthorized platforms like share on Telegram or maybe on some pirated website. That is the biggest challenge for the original content. There are a few ways that we used to do is like adding some random watermarking on the footage. But as a our true OTT users perspective, like adding watermarks is like some sort of flashing on the footage. It's not it's kind of a distracting for them. So they want a clean, film or TV show that should be watched instead of like, because there are Dish TV and other operators, they are doing a random number is displayed in your screen to fetch, like if somebody start capturing your device. In systems, you can prevent that by adding disabling the screen capture, which works well for OTT platform like Z5 and all. So you can't directly go and capture the record. But still, there are ways like you can actually put a camcorder in front of your screen and you will get the digital sound also. Because in like previous days, like few years back, when the pirated guys, they used to go in theaters and then shoot that. But now the things are actually after OTT is quite easy for them. That's why the risk of getting leaked pirated content is a big concern. So we as a content creators, it's not a risk of after going to the OTT content, OTT platform, then it's going to be revealed. We as in this pandemic situation working from home, our artists, they are working from home, and our reviews and all the production we are doing through VPN. So in between also there are big challenges that we are struggling with to actually prevent the footages, the looks of the characters, like what kind of shots is coming in the show. So that is also the biggest challenge, which we are internally we are controlling that. We have our internal strategies in studios to actually handle that. Like or in between we have a layer of security who's tracking. Like, yeah. So in OTT concern, again, I would like to add final point here is like, in terms of ROI, it will be directly impacting if the footage is getting leaked. Because if you see the recent incident, a blockbuster movie released at 12:30, and the same HD movie is actually released at before even it was released. So I mean that is a big loss for the creators who are actually doing that.
Gotcha. Got it. All right, guys, we have about some time left in the show. We want to open up for a little bit of Q&A. But I just want to conclude this real quick that you guys all have implemented successful OTT strategies. You have a bird's eye view on security. You know where content is and how competitive the market is. And then, there's a plan for the future as well. With that said, I want to thank you for your time. I think this has been a very interesting conversation. I hope the audience has enjoyed this as well. I want to spend some time to take up any questions which the audience might have. So Bhavna, I'll flip this to you and you can take it from there.
Absolutely. So Ashwin, firstly, great and wonderful moderation right there. Kudos to you, and incredible panel discussion. Thank you to our eminent panelists on the same. Well, we do have a question which is coming from Kamal Nath, who asks that, what are the most effective tools and technologies to find the right balance between operational cost efficiency at one end and network effectiveness and customer satisfaction on the other end? So Ashwin, if you could direct that to your eminent panel, that'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's got 3 questions in 1 question. So I'll take that for now. Sorry, you want to take that because you have a great mix of tech and business in your skill set. So I'll flip that to you if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's got 3 questions actually. So technologies, see, the first genesis of any tech product is the web technologies, right? It starts it stems from the web technology. So when we talk about technology here, it's a mixture of both app and web that gives the optimal output. Now, when we come to technology bit, it keeps on changing. It becomes obsolete every 6 months. So what we do is that whatever tech stack we have built, whether it's an app or it's a web, we keep on upgrading every 4 to 5 months so that we don't lose out on vital patches which have come in between. That needs to be updated, plus staying ahead of the curve in terms of giving the user experience. So there are a lot of plugins which keep on coming on a regular basis, whether it is from a Stack Overflow or from a GitHub. You keep on finding all of those patches, and which are relevant to you they have to be updated on a regular basis. As far as the network effectiveness is concerned, obviously the vital role out here is for the CDN partner. The CDN partner have been able to work very, very hard in Indian market, especially as we all discussed about the terrain problem, the internet continuity and different problems. So they have been able to give us quite a number of offerings on board. So one is the adaptive bitrate, which is a very, very key feature of the CDN partner, where across the various internet speed and the devices, the bitrate keeps on changing the ladder or keep on changing the value to give the best experience and the optimal experience to the user. That's first part. The second part is, of course, on the player bit. So what kind of adaptive player we have. So that also helps a lot in terms of giving the best output to the user without knowing what's happening in the backend. So I think these two are very vital from the CDN partner, where they help in the adaptive bitrate and also help the player to render the best output. So these are some of the key aspects. And of course, there are a lot of compression of images and video that we do. That also optimizes the network speed and also the rate of delivery. So these three things are there.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohanty, on that. Ashwin, firstly, a great panel right there. We could take up one question from the audience in interest of time. But a big, big thank you once again, Ashwin, for moderating it. And a big thank you to Rajiv, Rajesh, Raghavan, Shashank, Sourjya for being a part of this incredible panel. Thank you once again for your insights.